West, y'all.
How was your long weekend? Because we finished Labor Day.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was awesome. It was just downtime, reflection, bit of writing.
But writing, are you writing another book?
No, that's a long, long way off with my current role, I guess. But they're just trying to publish some articles and stuff, just getting the research out there. It was a really good time to just relax and had a swim.
Because you're pretty much 24 hours a day with your work and that, so it's good to hear that you're having a break.
Yeah, it can get like that at times, like any job. And the work does pile up, and especially for like Māori and Pasifika, you know, I think there's so very few of us in the industry, probably like any other industry, and so people tend to over-rely on you or just mine a lot of the information. And, you know, if we, my take on that is like, if we took the energy and time and sacrifice to learn the rules about others, then, you know, you should also, if you really want to back up your words and, you know, stand on te tiriti, if you want to be inclusive, and all these buzzwords that you hear for any organisation, any institution, you know, how can they necessarily put their feet to words, you know? And so you find that Māori and Pacific and certain professions are, like I said, just overstretched, and it can be really, really laborious. So when you say, you know, you must work 24 hours, it honestly feels like that some days. Yeah. And then, of course, you've got to balance that out with trying to meet obligations for, you know, family, your loved ones, and be present in all these multiple spaces. And yeah, it can at times, especially during COVID, this COVID climate, you know, it can get a little bit disheartening, but but you keep trying, I guess.
It sounds like we need more people like you out there with information to give out.
Yeah, that's right. We definitely need more people, more brown faces fronting up for our young people and mature students, you know. Because of COVID, you know, people are wanting to, I guess, upskill. And so it's not just a youth issue in terms of student populations, but also like mature students, international students, you know. They're sometimes, for some educational bodies, the bread and butter. High fee paying students,
Yeah. So you know how we just briefly started off talking about Pacifica in academia. Like what's the numbers looking like? Because we just have COVID. There's been a lot of things in the news about kids not going to school anymore, or the lack of education with COVID and kids not going back to school, parents taking kids out of school. And then, what are the numbers looking like for us?
Across all educational kind of entities, the numbers aren't the hottest because, like I said, there's only a handful of us. But you know, in terms of certain universities and leading ones, there's a real effort now to try and increase, you know, the recruitment of Pacifica staff and students, and and there's a real need, and of course the commitment to Māori, and it could be better, and nothing happens overnight. I mean, but in saying that, it's been centuries.
Yeah.
But I think I'm in a culture now in my role at the university where there is a meaningful commitment to seeing that, you know, that gap or that disparity close. And I'm enjoying being in amongst that. I won't get it perfect, and you know, there'll be some days where you're just like, what? You just bang your head on the wall. But the wins, I've been in the role for a very short time, and some of the quick wins have been really good, feeling really good, and I guess validating why you're there, and I'm there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to, serve our communities, serve our young people, the future, mature students in terms of their aspirations, because you're basically educating generations to come, As cliche as that may sound, educating one student could potentially, educate their descendants. It can be a positive flow-on effect. And so getting that into the minds of all minds, not just Pasifika, is really important. But it's hard. It's hard when you kind of, because of COVID, that's really hard. And a lot of our students have to work on top of their study or leave completely because, the families are reliant upon that income. And that's a really sad place to be, especially when you see the talent. But you can't blame anyone for that because you've got to eat, you've got to pay bills, you've got to live and survive. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But it's a slow burn.
Yeah. That is, when you think of that way, some people can turn it to the government. I think with Labour, it's their job to make sure, people get opportunities. And when things like this happen, it's good for a party like Labour to help come through and help people, help families that are less fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of thing. So, and I know COVID's just sort of finished, and everyone's trying to get back into it again, and you probably see more engagement with the kids. But the good thing it is, people like you, you're a brown face that's already up there, right? And you're in there, and the kids can say, oh, I can do that too, and you set a good example for that kind of thing. But I think at the same time, we need more. We need more people.
100%. 100%. It is about role modelling. It is about normalising our presence on platforms that, weren't really us. Well, we weren't seen there. And education being one of them, although we're smashing it. We're not just rugby players, rugby league players or sports people. We're not just comedians. We're not just church-going people. Completely diverse. We've also got the smarts. We've got entrepreneurs. We've got innovators, creators, people like you. Just off the, smell of an oily rag can come up with stuff that just uplifts the mana of our communities, and every bit helps, and that's what you hope for the students, because you ultimately help that family, help their village, help their church community, whatever. Yeah.
At the same time, you're battling sort of like technical stuff too, right? Like people, our youth turn into like polytech, doing apprenticeships, and not going the academic way, but doing the trades. And I think the trades are coming up again.
Oh yeah,
but it's not a future-proof thing. Hey, if you read what's going on with technology and more like all the big jobs these days are IT, information technology and all that kind of thing. And I know trades might be big now because after COVID, like, everybody needs a trade. But then what's the future going to hold? When's IT going to come through and people need to be computer,
Yeah. I think that's a valid, there's a valid points. And I think with COVID, the lockdowns and restructuring of some businesses and companies and closures, letting go of staff, all that stuff impacted. And by that, I mean, you'll have to edit this because I forgot what I was supposed to say. What was your point again?
Probably that's because I think there's a lot of factors going into if the goal is trying to get more brown people in university, higher education. You're battling you're battling the trades. If the trades industry are coming up because after COVID, there's more builders, more plumbers needed, and then that that gets pushed forward, and more people go that way.
Yeah.
But then that's not maybe 40 years time. That's not going to be the thing.
Yeah.
Because of IT
and technology.
Yeah, and technology. So going the academic way will be a long-term solution.
Yeah, and I think this is where we buy into that, or at least information is withheld, or opportunities and access concealed to our communities, because the trades are just as important. I mean, that's right. COVID was an example of that, right? When we all went into lockdown and people lost jobs and companies were restructuring and all that kind of stuff, it leveled the playing field. There was no ethnicity, there was no age, there was nothing, and you heard a lot of those that haven't been in those of privilege just moaning and like the world is ending. It's like, bro, we've been in that situation for like hundreds of years, and now it's like, do you see our resilience now? We have been able to withstand so much trauma over our lifetimes that something like this we still rallied. I love how the government did, it took them a while to get there, but they eventually got there because the Pacific community were in there trying to push messages around looking after more susceptible, and that's in quote marks, populations to COVID. So, all that type of stuff kind of leveled it out. And what I'm trying to say is that, yes, the trades are important, and you say, well, what then for that industry when we move more towards technological advancements and stuff like that?
Because that is dominated by the Balinese and Indians, right?
So
how do we?
Why are we not then? I think the key to workforce development and ensuring that we grow the workforce is to put us in leadership positions. Then, if you're in the trades, create leadership roles for Pasifika. You'll find then that they'll be able to be a lot more flexible with jobs, because if you can manage, just say, a team, and you've been able to manage budgets and stuff like that's transferable. That can be transferable. You're right.
It's interesting you say that, because all my years, I've never sort of met hundreds of Samoan or Pacific Island foremen on site.
Yeah. I used to work on a construction site.
Yeah.
But I was a fireproofer. There's some weird jobs that I've done over my lifetime. And as a female and young, I was at university. I needed cash, to get through.
What do you have to do?
When they put up the concrete slabs and the foundation for buildings, and so you climb these mega ladders. How floors, these huge ladders and stuff, or cherry pickers, done all of that. And you would put these fire foam things in between I don't even know.
Between the joints.
I'm not no construction person, and that's what I did for the summer. Honestly, the misogyny. It's a site full of men, and you just walk and you just feel like a piece of meat, like walking you're just going to pick up, say, like a gun or something, a ceiling gun, I mean.
Yeah.
And you just feel the eyes and you're feeling objectified and sexualized in so many ways, and the wolf whistle, what is it? Wolf whistles?
Yeah.
the one toilet, like they knew females on site. And they have the one toilet, and it's like, you know, if it's that time of the month for a woman,
right?
Like, hello. So
there's nothing there for.
You'd have to drive to the petrol station. You know, there were. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I've never talked about this publicly. I guess I've always talked about it with mates and stuff, and I mean that's a whole nother show, I think. But I mean, all these different things they help to inform your leadership style, I guess, too, and the way you function as a human, I guess, every day. And lived experience is probably the most powerful thing.
Even if things are hard, like your experience in that construction site, that's a hard experience but you went through it, so now understand.
Yeah,
that's another added experience for your leadership. And,
Yeah, I have a low since then I've had very low tolerance or zero tolerance for any kind of rubbish like that from males. And in the workplace, I mean, how unsafe, it was just gross. It was yuck.
Yeah. So when you're working there, were you studying? Were you a student, university student at that time?
Yeah. I had to do lots and lots of odd jobs just to get through. You can't rely on your parents. And I had the student loan and I didn't have the allowance, I think. I can't remember. So you go looking for scholarships, but when you get an opportunity to work, you don't just see it as making money, you also see it as an experience.
Because I remember that student job search. They still have it?
I don't think so. No, not. It's not called that anymore.
Oh, isn't it? Yeah, I remember that thing going.
Study
Link.
Link.
There was no study link when I was there. There was student job search. So there's a list, and you go. There's a number, and you go. So I remember my first job was at an old people's home.
Yeah.
And I had to paint the edges of the walls of the whole building.
Yeah.
It was like painstaking. I hated it, but it was like good because this is why I need to study because I don't want this kind of job, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I remember every holidays, every kind of Christmas holiday, because that was something like 6 weeks or something when I was a teenager before university, I think. My dad would make my sister and I work with him every day for 6 weeks. We didn't have a holiday. And we were young, I was like, oh man. But it was the best lesson ever because it obviously taught us hard work ethic. It made me see my father, what he did in a day, every day, and that he's doing it to provide for the family. And you saw other like his mates and stuff in the factory, then would do jobs that were really monotonous. Like, honestly, one of them was like you stood at the, what do you call it, conveyor belt.
Oh, yeah, and just
put toothpaste lids on toothpaste. Whilst there is integrity in jobs, like, any type of blue collar job, there is integrity in that. I just knew it wasn't for me. It confirmed for me, like, no, you cannot, and I looked at my dad and I thought, I don't want you waking up at like 5 a.m. and coming home late, doing this day in, day out. But that was the sacrifice that they made. That's just an example. My mum was the same. And where I am now has not been because of me. You know what I'm trying to say, eh? It's like I'm just the product of everyone's love and, alofa and hard work and the vision. My dad always said, and yes, it's biblical, if you don't have a vision, the people will perish. And I put that in my master's thesis. But the point I'm trying to make is that he's right. If you don't have a vision for anything...
Yeah, what's the point? What's the point? Yeah.
You got to have a purpose. You got to have a reason to wake up in the morning. And which brings me to, like, mental health and well-being, which is my expertise lies in that area, and lots of people can't wake up in the morning. I've had some of those days, over my lifetime. Just like, oh no, I can't. I just can't. I can't.
I always look at it like a generational thing. Like, I know it's funny because when I used to think about how all of us, because our parents came from the islands, and they says the ones that settled in Auckland, settled in Ponsonby, Greyland back in the 70s or 60s, 70s, and that we all started from scratch. We all started from zero. So they had us kids, and it's up to us to sort of like do better than our parents. That's the sort of thinking you have, and then the next generation will do better than you. Then your kids will do better than you did. Then so there's a progression. But it's funny because all the people that I've had on this podcast, like a lot of them, is it first generation when we're the kids of our parents, or that came here, or were we second generation?
I'm third.
Okay.
My grandmother came here when she was 26 and met my granddad, so they're both from Samoa. They were youngish. He wasn't that much older than her. Then they had kids, so they're first generation.
So the first ones to come over here are the first generation? Is that how
man.
it goes? I don't know how it goes. I don't know how it goes.
Wait, no.
First generations are the first to arrive, eh? Or was it the kids?
It's the kids.
Oh, okay. So I'm first generation then. Because I was born here.
Yeah. So your kids will be second generation.
Right.
So your parents were born
in Samoa.
I see my mum was born here, but she's Samoan. So
that's why you're third.
Third.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But my dad was born.
I can never get that right. I never understand the generation numbers.
Please comment and correct us if we're completely wrong. I'm embarrassed that I've forgotten.
But the point of my story was, if I'm second generation.
No.
Second.
I thought you. Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
First.
Yeah, first. I'm first generation. So I started at zero, right? Because my parents started at zero, so I start at zero.
Mm-hmm. First generation New Zealander. Yeah, I think so.
Right. So if anyone's more successful than me, that's Pacific Islander. We all started at the same place. Yeah. So we all move through life differently. We all progress differently. So I've got no excuse if someone's more successful than me, whether it be for sports or job, career, whatever. And I'm like, and if I think, man, how come that guy is up there? But nah, because we all start from zero. It's like my pathway was different.
100%.
It's not about everyone got the advantage of anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay.
Because if you were born into privilege and you were, just say you were Pacific, you were born into privilege,
like
say you were born into money,
if
you would have a different experience to someone that wasn't completely. Right?
Yeah.
And then I'm a believer that our ancestors, we are the product of our ancestors. That's what I believe. And so when someone gets better, it's not necessarily you're doing worse, or it's not necessarily, like you said, it's everyone has a different journey. It's more that.
Yeah.
And that person, we should be celebrating everyone's success. That's Pasifika. We shouldn't be hating on someone just because they're doing what they want to do. They're passionate about what they want to do, and they're achieving, and they're out there. Everyone can see it, right? I have no problems with that because it's the people behind them that got them there. You always have an army behind you. So if that person becomes successful and you don't, that's where we start relying on that deficit thinking.
Yeah, I'm not the one to think like I'm jealous. I'm not the one to think, how did that happen? Like, how did that? How come I'm trying to figure it out.
Circumstance. Because you live in Henderson, I live in Te Atatū Peninsula. We're going to have different experiences. We're going to have say we both go to campus on the same day at the same time. We're going to have a different experience getting there. I'm going to hit that gross, ugly traffic, you've got multiple ways to go behind. There's only one way in and one way out of TAT. So who gets there the fastest? It gets to work the fastest. That could be seen as a successful kind of trip to work. Doesn't necessarily mean the other person was less successful or less capable or competent. It was the circumstance.
Yeah.
You're a lot further away. It's positioning and where you're at. And sometimes people, I mean, that's just a practical, easy type of example, right? That can explain people's mentality as well. If you're in an area, that, I guess you cut up suburbs. I used to teach this in class. I'd put up like satellite images so you couldn't really tell what the area is, and I'd say I'll put it up, and one was like lush green, just massive spaces, recreational facilities near the water, green, trees, shade in a park, and one was just like really dense and close, and there were hardly any. It was just road and footpaths were like narrow, all that type of stuff, right? So what you see the equity even in the placement of populations. And I said, what can you guess these areas are at? What are these areas? And they'd be like, it was so obvious.
First one's North Shore, was it?
Yeah, and the second one was somewhere out, in the opposite direction. So it's like, and that's an inequity. And you measured, there's studies that measure how many bottle stores or how many poke machines are in a community. Compare that to a more affluent area, it's unjust. Of course they're going to be successful. Of course because it's about circumstance and connection, and your mental health and well-being are going to be amazing because you're out there walking and your dog and at the gym and playing footy on a field, and it's safe to cycle around there. The other suburb, not so much. There was lots of it was very an industrial area, so what you're breathing in isn't even healthy. There were hardly any footpaths. Where are we supposed to run? So it doesn't really encourage you to get out on a bike or something like that. I can see it changing now, and with our councils and stuff. But that's what I'm getting at. It's like we should never. You make the most of where you are, because wherever you are, there is absolute strength in that, and you should be proud in that. And I believe that is your superpower. You don't lead out with trying to be like someone else, because you're not going to win. They're good at it. Let them be good at it. You be good at what you're good at. They'll never be able to be as good as you. That's what you harness, and you use that strength in your environment. And so I don't believe, like you said, I don't believe in anyone being more successful than anyone else. We're just building blocks for all the successive, ancestors. And
I was late to figure that out. I think to figure that out. I probably figured it out when I was mid-30s. I should have figured it out when I was early.
That's about right.
I should have figured it out when I was in my early 20s, because I just mucked around. Didn't do anything repetitive to get good at anything. It was just 9 to 5, and that was it. And go out and hang out.
There's always a plan, though. There's always a plan for your life, and I think I might be sounding philosophical about this, but I completely believe it. We just hear a lot of noise. We hear so much noise, and we have negative talk, self-talk. We're always getting down at ourselves. If we do something well and we get compliments, we're uncomfortable about it. All that stuff. We just got to start normalizing that and bossing up and not being cocky. We're kind of taught humble yourself. You can be amazing and a boss and still be humble and still, celebrate your culture and affect it the best way understand and know how.
You speak of humble, and then what comes to mind with that, the opposite of that, is that tall poppy syndrome. How people get a little bit successful and the other people shut them down, bring them down. Because I'm See, I grew up with it, but I never noticed it. So
Yeah.
it was normalized,
Yeah.
and that's the definition of normalized.
Yeah.
Because is that what it is? You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I thought it was just normal. You just put someone down. To
Yeah.
kind of,
The mocks.
yeah.
It is our culture, right?
But it is
The
our
mocks.
culture. But there has to be a line. There's a line, right? Mocking and tall poppy. Like when you, see, I don't. For me, it's a grey area.
When someone tries to diminish someone else's being, mana, beliefs, whatever, it is to make themselves feel better in some type of way. Being, oh, well, how did you equate that to that? Well, all of a sudden you think you're judging. It's so judgmental, and you're belittling someone. That just shows to me your insecurities when you do that. Mocks are good. I mean, they make light, they make light-hearted moments a lot more, well, dark. No, what am I trying to say? Edit that. They make heavy moments a lot more light-hearted with humour, and it's funny. We love to laugh. There's nothing I love more than being on campus and hearing our hyena laughs and just the chee-hoos and all that kind of stuff at work.
It's a humour that I think that the Balings don't understand yet. Yeah, like we can't humour like that with them. I think.
No, some of them you can.
Yeah, some of them you can, but most of them they don't get our jokes and that. Like, I don't really get their jokes. So their jokes aren't even funny. Sometimes,
Yeah.
most of the time.
It's just
a bit dry.
cultural, just cultural.
Bit dry. Yeah.
But I mean, and I was saying, it's a mindset. To be Pasifika today is a mindset, and by that I mean you remember what your people have gone through. You cannot forget the historical trauma and the way we were colonized and made to feel how we were demonized, all our beliefs, and there's that bit. And then I forgot again what I was saying. Because I'm not a talker. I'm a writer. I think. So I'm
you sound like me.
so much more comfortable.
I'm a better writer than a talker.
Yeah.
Because I write these movie reviews, and a lot of people like it. So that's making me do it more.
You're what?
I'm writing movie reviews.
Oh,
I watch a movie and I write a review, put it on my social media.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's sort of my thing now. My new thing.
Hobby.
Yeah, my new hobby, including this.
Oh, not. I don't even call them hobby. I think they're just little gateways that are like, oh, come over, look over here. Come over, look over here.
But like maybe the last year, I've been writing a lot more now.
What do you writing?
And man, I used to love it when I was a kid. I used to write when I was at intermediate because I used to read the Stephen King.
Oh, so did I.
And Form 1. I loved it.
I was a Stephen King fan too.
Oh, were you? Oh.
Yeah.
Because my first book I read was Pet Cemetery.
I read, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that one.
Yeah, and then I watched the movie and I was like, oh, cool. I can watch the movie and read the book.
Yeah.
So I started reading all these books that had movies. So I can watch read the book and watch the movie. And that was my thing.
The book's always better, eh?
Yeah, it is because it's more in depth thing. But that was the first time. Yeah, I started reading and then I liked it. Then I lost it for some reason. I think when I went to high school, my priorities changed but I remember I was good at writing and I was always good at English. So but I lost it for years, like 20 years. I never wrote, and now I'm back to writing again. And I sort of like found out, shit. I remember I loved doing this before.
What made you kind of lose the passion for it? What event? Just life, work?
Yeah, just
stuff.
just stuff like
stuff.
Just hanging out with friends and.
Oh, right. Oh, it's good to hear that you're back
like
into
that.
your writing.
Yeah,
it's a really good way of expressing yourself.
Yeah, it is, and I've just found that out again. I know you've been writing for a long time and stuff.
Sometimes it's academic writing. Sometimes it's really nice to just pour it onto paper, just let it go. I don't mind that. Yeah. Now, so that's cool because another thing that got me into writing was this podcast.
because I did a website and you had to write on the website. So that's sort of, and I like writing about sports stuff too. So yeah, it's
Hey,
good.
you're a busy man.
It's a good way to you're right, to think about stuff, eh? Because when you're thinking and writing, oh no, that's not right. Do it again. Write it again, and then you can sort of get an idea what you're trying to say. And it doesn't my writing doesn't translate to the podcast because my words go faster than my head. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So have you got any tips for me,
Yeah.
like
For your writing? Or
for translating writing with talking, or have you got the same? Is that more your
yeah,
strength?
I do. It's very simple. You can only speak your heart. When you speak your heart and you let go of what people think, and this is so simple. And I wish I knew this when I was younger. If you let go of what people think, if you bring your authentic self to a table, and you just let go. And by let go, it's let go of negative talk. Let go of what people think. Let go of the expectations that others are putting on you. Let go of trying to be something for everyone and everything when, at the end of the day, your passion's over here. Let go. And when you let go and you write, it will naturally come. When you talk, it will naturally come because you can only ever speak from your heart and your soul. If you're not speaking from a place of heart and soul, what are you talking?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just empty words. And, as humans, we are full of power and energy. We just don't realize how much of it we possess. And certain beliefs may put a stop to letting go. There are rules and regulations, and when you overstep some of those, you're made to feel like you've caused a massacre or I don't know.
Is that a conscious thing sometimes?
A conscience?
Like you just think it, but it's not real. Like you think you're gonna upset, or you think you're gonna.
It depends, because you could be in a situation where you're spoken to, and your gut. You should always trust your gut. That's my thing, because if you want to say something, it's like not. You sometimes hear it, not now. Like you learn to read rooms. That's it. Read situations. Like don't even say anything right now. It's going to turn bad. You start trusting yourself. You have to. You start trusting yourself. You'll write better. You speak better. And you have to believe that anything you say is validated. Because, and I'm not being cocky about that. I'm not saying, oh, you're God or something. Anything you say is validated because you've come through your own journey to get there. You lived it. So, yes, you can speak to it. So, in terms of your writing and speaking, speak from your heart and don't ever sway.
It seems like you had a point in your life where you realized, don't give a damn what people think, and I'm just gonna go out there. Because I had that problem with this podcast right at the beginning, like putting it out there on the internet. Like what are people gonna think? I don't know. What am I gonna say? Like that kind of thing. Anxiety. I had a bit of anxiety, especially the first episode. And then you're just like thinking, man, but then no one's gonna listen to it because.
I mean, you. For someone like you, we haven't even known each other. I mean, this is the first time we've been in, made contact in person, and even when we were, talking online around this, I was like, oh yeah. Meeting you, it's like, man, you're a really shy guy. You're
I am.
Very shy.
No, I am.
Yeah. I am. But seeing this, you don't even realize walking into this house, I was like, okay, these really, and he said, come around here, come into your little studio and your setup. All that's so inspiring to me because here's someone, this is what I'm talking about. Here's someone that's a shy guy, but he's using something he's passionate about and a strength. And here we are. Who would ever think you and I would be sitting here having a jam about life and about how you could write and speak better? I mean, I'd love to do this kind of stuff, but I just won't.
Yeah.
I know my strengths and I know what I can do and what I can't, and just leave it like that. I don't need any more stress, but no, I really wanted to say that. It's just really encouraging and I will always engage with people that are using their gifts. It brasses me off when I see anyone with so much potential and gift and they're not able to utilise it because they probably haven't been guided well, or it's just not in them, the timing's out. I don't know, but
Yeah.
guidance for
Yeah.
all.
See, that's how smart you are, because you knew I was shy. And I'm doing this, but you're right. You're absolutely right. And there's a reason why I'm shy. And, when I heard you talk about, you got to understand the past, because it's a trauma that might affect you in the future. It's that kind of thing when I think about it. Because when I was young, I used to have a stutter. I still have it, but just small. Wasn't as bad when I was a kid. So I grew up primary school, intermediate, and half of high school with a bad stutter. So I was never confident to do public speaking and, express myself that way because,
But look at you now. This is what I'm saying. This is exactly what I'm saying. Someone's probably, you had that mentality like, oh, look at that guy. Look, he's success. People are probably looking at you going, how does he even do that? I don't have the guts to do something like that.
See, I don't even think that. I think, look at this Enos guy doing the. Who do you think he is? A radio
Change
guy?
the narrative.
That's what
the
I
narrative.
always think. Like, who does he think he is? Is he a radio guy? He can't even talk.
But what? Who? Yeah, you can. Yeah, you're awesome. I mean, I really enjoy your content.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the sort of the barrier that's not just me. I think a lot of people in our heads. Especially the whole thing about worrying about what other people think.
It's human nature sometimes, eh?
Yeah, but I think it's even worse for Pacific Islanders. Do you think? Because of the mocking and then
yeah,
sometimes
but you know what? What got us there? We've always been brought in to this thing of not feeling worthy, not being good enough, not being smart enough, not being quick enough, not being skinny enough.
Right.
Who created that framework? Not us, man. We're kings and queens. We are kings and queens, and if you don't think that you are one, then man, we need to get around you and start amping you up. We came from, each and every one of us have come from a line of amazingness and indigenous. It makes us distinct from anyone else in the world, right? Because of colonization, because there is one narrative that is dominating the globe, of course, we would look for ways to just survive. Do you find that when you're uncomfortable or when we're uncomfortable, because I'm guilty of it, so you crack a joke? Or it's just because you have to make you have to make it balance out the energy before you can do the work. Sometimes you go in rooms and they're like, boom, straight to business. Like, whoa, I haven't even decompressed I just came from a stressful situation over there.
Yeah.
So we need to reclaim our superpower and our greatness. And, we're from the ocean or the mountains, land people, our environment, all that we vibe off. And when you have others that don't have any idea about all this stuff and then they impose something, a belief that was never you, and there's only one belief, you're going to go into survival mode all the time, and you're always going to think, I'm not going to get there. Well, of course, do you want to, go into a space and you're the only, and there's a group of Samoans, and just say there's I don't know, think of any ethnic group that comes to your head, and you teach this one person just nah, no, you always come in at the wrong time. Or teaching them a song. It's like, oh, you're flat. No, we pronounce it like this. I'm just saying, you'd start believing these messages. And like, I can't sing as good as them. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're buying into that narrative, and you're an example of someone that is now moving away from that. This kind of stuff. You're believing in your strength. I can't wait to see your writings and listen to you more. It'll be so good. You teach that to a generation, and they teach it to the next generation. Then you're gonna have generations after us that just have this confidence, and they're like, I have every right to do what I want, to act on my strengths, and to have the people I want around me. So, yeah, I mean, sorry if I'm getting too...
No, it's good. It's good. Because we need to...
My life, it's just lived experience for me, and just some of the reflections I've come across, because
it's always a learning thing, right? It's always a learning thing. Because,
yeah.
So I know you're into the whole mental health scene.
Yeah.
I think you're part of... you did a lot of writings on it. You've researched about it. Because it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal, especially with youth suicide, especially for our people in that. You know? Like, with your research on that, like, what's the sort of main thing why our numbers are high?
So suicide there is no single reason. It's so complex that you can never ever narrow it down. It could be anything. There are even like last straw moments, it's never about, oh, I got dumped by my partner, the world is, I can't go on, or I've lost my job, I've got so many things to pay, grief, healing, trauma, all that stuff. There's no one reason, but something like breaking up could be the last straw, you know. What I've come to realize you're asking me, this is a personal kind of reflection, is that what I know about suicide deaths is that people generally, or anyone experiencing mental health distress, need love. Everyone wants to be loved. Animals want to be loved. Plants want to be loved. That's why you water them. Love, connection. Everyone wants to be connected, even if you're just like you like to fly solo and stuff like that, which is fine. You need to connect in some way. Some are gamers, there's connection in lots and lots of different ways, right? And people need to feel heard. You need to be heard. Like, can you imagine speaking and no one cares what you're saying? How devastating that can be for someone. And then you have all the bad behavior, that strips and rips dignity away from people. It could be like gunning someone down, rape, sexual violence of any type, beating someone up, just bad behavior, It comes down to hurt.
Because, you're saying that, I'm thinking, man, if you break it down, it's so simple, eh? Like, these are human needs. It's a basic human needs, eh? Like, you think about love.
Not everyone's God-fearing. And for someone that is, it would be like, God's the answer. And that's fine. Yeah, of course. God has pulled a lot of people out of some ruts, as has other kinds of religions and beliefs and Christianity. But even like our own, standing strong on where we came from and believing where you're going to is everything has a purpose and is destined. Where you fit in that cog is what you make of that time that you're sitting in that time period, and where you fit in is entirely up to you. But you do it. Service is about doing something for the benefit of others. On the one hand, on the other hand, doing good things for others is actually really good for your own mental health and well-being. It's a positive thing. So yeah, in terms of suicide, there's no simple thing.
How hard was your research? Because they were taking down some dark places, right?
I had, and I ensured that I had the support around me because, like anyone that's probably working on the front line, or anyone that has lost someone to suicide or whatever. Yeah, it's hard. Get your support around you, and I did. I debriefed a lot with my supervisor and my mum, actually, and because you have to let that stuff go. But then it was also hard because as you were doing it, or after you did it, because there weren't many. I think at the time, I was the only Pacific suicide prevention researcher.
At the time?
A million years ago.
Oh, wow.
And now there's lots of stuff, but at that time, there was no formula. There was nothing to go off. There was no specific research to look at how they did the research. So it was all playing by, I was like guinea pig.
So you had to set it up yourself?
Yeah, I had to set it myself. That talked to a lot of people that had tried to take their life. And like I said, that's the power of lived experience. You can't do any type of suicide prevention work if you haven't experienced it in some way. So these were suicide attempters who were sharing their stories of why they did it, how are they, where are they placed, and it was a lot to take home. And yes, there were times where it was just like, whoa, I need to kind of shed this. It's not, it is mine to take on because that our love for our people and our babies and our youth. But it's not, because you can't be effective if you're holding on to all that trauma. You have to get rid of it somehow. Yeah, so that was the kind of the journey, and you do that now, not just in suicide prevention. You do it for a lot of things now. As you would know, when you get into any type of leadership, or people are accountable to you. You have to, I guess. Oh my gosh, I forgot what I was going to say. I was going around suicide prevention. Oh, you have to shed.
Yeah.
Because people are always sharing it. You have to take it in, love them, serve them, go hard, but let it go.
Is this why the best way now to battle or to enforce suicide prevention is to talk about it? That's the main, because it's hard. Because when you say it's hard to shed, it's hard to find out what to release their trauma without knowing what their trauma is, and everyone's different, which makes it even more harder. Sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we can get the general feel about how their living circumstance, or where they are, how they grew up, what their parents are like, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. But then that will put you in the direction. But to tap into what's really going on, you gotta actually talk to them and let them speak out what their trauma is. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't force someone to do that.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, you do that with your mates and stuff. Not everyone's a qualified clinician. It could be detrimental if you open up a can of worms and then you're like, okay, bye. But when you're talking with your family members or your mates about that, and someone's feeling really, crappy, and has suicide ideation, contemplating suicide, just say, or any type of risk-taking behaviours, you have to listen first. You have to listen first and not try to fix it. They don't want you to fix it. They're having enough trouble trying to fix it themselves. They want you to just listen first, support. When they're ready, it may come out. If not, that's okay. Connect them to the right people where they will come out. If they can't come out to you, okay, you're not the right person. Help them find the right person. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I never thought about because I was thinking about how much on social media there's been, especially the last couple of years, last 2-3 years, even before COVID, there's a big push for talking about your mental health, talking about anxiety, with how people like. There's always the whole thing. Remember back in the days we used to harden up, and that was the thing. No one talks, especially us survivors. Like now, it's the opposite.
Yeah,
you got all these other podcasts coming up talking about it. Like,
it's good.
That's gonna help bring out stuff for people that are keeping it in. Like if they can hear the same story about someone else that they're going through.
Yeah.
Like, well, we need a lot of stories to come out there so people can relate to any one of them.
Yeah, and I think the very, very first thing before you even have the conversation or listen, create the safe space. Like you have. I felt safe. I didn't know you from you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We just connected like on Insta and like, oh, and then, I looked at your content and went, oh yeah. You probably looked at mine and I'm like, oh, that'll be cool. We'll have a good chat. Right? And then I thought, man, for all I know, I could be rocking up to. It helped that you're West. It helped that you're Westie, and I was like, okay, he's a Westie. It's a no-brainer. But like, walked in here, you provided a safe space. Hospitality. The small things matter. The small things matter in life. Look, you got cans. He got me cans of like Coke options, Sprite, and water and sashimi right here with toothpicks. It matters because what you're saying to that person is, I respect you taking the time out, coming out here to talk to me, to help. You know.
No.
I love that.
Because I can't believe people come out here to talk. But it's good because I want to talk. Because it's funny because I'm
for someone that said he had a stutter and
Well, like I don't know because I might have always been a person that always loves to learn, or I'm always been that person, but I never acted on any of it. Like I was like a B student, like a C student, sort of thing, and didn't really mucked around through school and didn't really go, that way, sort of thing. But I think now, like maybe when I started the podcast, it's all about. I was hungry. I was just hungry to learn new things, and I started reading books again. That kind of stuff. So it's been
good for you. Good for you.
Been good.
Now, if I'm not encouraging this to any of our students about, it's all right. She reckons like C's will get you, but it's remember this is what I'm talking about buying into the mentality and buying into the system. It's like, whose framework are we measured by? Okay, let's get you to do a test on what you're amazing at, which is, you set the rules. You get someone that's not of your ethnic group to be educated in whatever you're amazing at, and let's see if they can get A's. You'll smash the A because you live and breathe it.
Right.
You set the direction of the path of, hey, here's this job, but you have to come this way to get there. If we turn that around, if we flip that script and said, okay, you guys do our test, can you imagine how success in the eyes of mainstream, how successful we would then be?
We need time to learn it and stuff, right?
We need time to unlearn. We need time to unlearn. We need time to unlearn how we've been taught, how we've been made to feel that our identity, our thought, our practices, our beliefs, our culture, has no place in this country or in this world. It has every right. Once you like change that narrative and discourse and flip that script, you're gonna see the whole world on a whole different light. And everything matters but doesn't matter. You don't sweat the small stuff. You keep your eye on the vision, on the big stuff, because we're here not for us. Everything's material things are a distraction. 9-to-5 job, oh, you'll get this promotion. Oh, you got to drive this car. You got to buy this house, especially in Auckland with these prices. You got to get in. You got to do this. It's a distraction.
Right.
Because if you flip that mentality, imagine. I mean, I like to think that a few years from now, we're going to be in your studio, or you're going to be like, you probably publish your book of your musings, or probably do I don't know, cut a record. I don't even know what you call it now.
You really think we're gonna get there?
I'm speaking it into your life. You need to believe it and speak it into your life. Manifest it. You know, we are heirs. We are heirs to the kingdom, whatever kingdom you believe in, whether you're a believer or non-believer. Whatever your kingdom is, we are heirs because we are royalty. And once you start telling yourself that every day, you'll just see your confidence and all the barriers go. They go. It's like you're not shy anymore. Like, oh, what? I didn't do that because I was just shame. I wish I did this years ago. You tell yourself, do it. I just saw some kids go by. Do it for them. If they can, they're your siblings or nieces and nephews and your own kids. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That was a compliment, wasn't it? So, I mean, your own kids, right? They soak in stuff. You know this. They're watching your every move. They're soaking in stuff. You do it for them. Because like you said before, but, you know, it's the next generation. It's always better, because we want them to be better. So we do better. And you watch my bro. The world. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Trust me. I'm just. I still have days where I just want, please, just 10,000 snoozes because it just works tough.
I know what you're saying, because when you talk about the boundaries that we've grown up with, we think it's a boundary, but it's not really. We can talk into existence our own boundaries, and it doesn't have to be a boundary. We can break through whatever is a social construct, right? Or what they think is the right way of doing things. When we know for ourselves, we know the right way, because we're still alive, we're still here, we're still happy, we're still happy people. Why can't we? There's space for everybody, right? There's no one way of doing things. So when I, for example, if I put this podcast up against mainstream, right? It's totally different straight away.
Yeah.
Because the way I talk, the way we banter, it's our flavor. And we can talk about anything we want.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
And why can't it be what everybody could hear? Well, why is it that we have to think, oh, this guy won't like it, or this person won't like it, or we can't make it because we're not going that way? Why can't it be that way? That kind of thing, eh?
You put it out there and you just let go. You let go, and whoever picks it up, it's going to speak. If it speaks to one person, you've served. Because that one person could potentially have if they have their own kids and stuff, a generation after them that has learnt something from that and has acted upon it. So, I mean, anything. Oh gosh, I'm going off the topic again.
No, it's not. Because what you're describing, the picture you're painting for the world, in your eyes, you're going through university, you're up there in academia. What does it look like through your journey, at the end of your journey, going through the system? You know what I mean? You're actually in there with people.
That I'm almost hypocritical sitting here talking about it, because you.
I mean, what I like to think. Oh, not like to think, but I assume that for you the boundaries would be the way education is taught, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
And the way, because education needs to help to build a society, right? And I think when you think about the way New Zealand society is, how like, do they want to maintain a conservative approach and, or
Status quo.
and they don't want, they sort of push back on new ideas, even if it's a bad idea? Nah, because we've been doing it for millions of years. We don't need new ideas. That kind of thing.
Yeah, not everyone likes change. Eh?
Yeah.
But that's so unrealistic. It's like, change. Are you kidding me? You just need to look outside of your back lawn and you know that the world's changed.
Yeah. So your journey, like, what does it look like with what you just said to me? What does it look like in your journey going through?
For me personally, I've had to jump through a lot of hoops, as any other person would who isn't part of the mainstream. The positive self-talk, the support of family, and massive support of family, and significant others. Just as people, I mean, can you imagine? Let's say, I don't know how long. Let's just make it up. 80 years ago or 100 years ago, that you and I would be sitting here on a podcast, two people that met on social media. That's change. But in that time, people have cleared that pathway for us. All the people that have gone through worse than we have, dawn raids, and before that, Maori movement. The stuff that has happened, Bikini Island, and the nuclear bombing and stuff. Oh yeah, Jesus, is it Bikini? What?
I think so.
Oh, man,
fact check.
Yeah, fact check. Sorry, my mind is racing. You just have to edit that. What was I saying? What was I saying about? Drats. Lost myself. Never mind. Said something about. Oh, how did I get there?
Yeah. So I was trying to
that's right.
Put the picture you painted. I was trying to put that at the end of your journey.
I got it. So all the injustices, I guess, that's it. The inequity that have been experienced by the ones before us, because of their passion and their vision, they've cleared the path to be able to allow us to sit here and talk about anything that we want. Imagine what we're going to do for your kids. So, yeah, change is inevitable. It's what you do when you. It's being, I guess, very connected to be able to identify when a change is going to happen. Or you're like, this is going to happen. You're always vigilant, and so you do the best you can to prepare the path for your babies. Anyway, that's just what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, how did I get there? My family, and I'm the type of person, like, if I see something that is not right, I will do my best to right the wrong, only if I'm caught in, only if I've been guided in that direction. And when you get guided in that direction, you make the most of that opportunity. You go through the uncomfortable moments. You experience the racism. What are you doing here? Being the only female, or being the only brown person, you have to go through that, and then you have that in the forefront of your mind. Like, man, I don't want my kids to go through that. So you make the change to make it better. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not resting. It's like, you're only there for a short time, so make the most of it, and then move over for someone else to grow it, for someone else to inject something innovative and exciting.
Yeah, because you just talked about racism, and the first time I heard about you was when that lady put that message on you.
Oh yeah.
On your answering machine.
Yeah.
And man, when I felt because I heard it, I was thinking, man, that's good that you put it out there, because I wasn't shocked, because I kind of knew.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I was like, oh, okay, you just made sure my feelings were correct.
Exactly.
You know, to
That's
this.
exactly right.
And
Remember how I was saying about, I mean, I was in a role then where I was like heading a school and department, and that happened, and I thought, I sat there, you know, I had to sit in it, and I was like, is this a responsible thing to do in your role? Because you're, you know, staff and students, you know, are you starting stuff? You know,
Oh, is this the result of what you?
this is what I was thinking when I hung up on the phone.
Yeah.
It was only a small moment, but lots of things were running through my mind. And then it was like, yeah, will this be the right move?
Right.
You know, will you get the university in trouble? You know, can you speak it? And I thought, stop. Because I was at work. I was like, just stop. Sit. And I just looked, I went into my gut and I was like, do it. I went, okay. I didn't think twice about it. I went, do it.
Because it's the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do.
And that's what we meant about, we're always second guessing the first time, because we're thinking about what other people think.
Don't think about what, follow your gut.
Exactly.
And then, okay, and then next minute, but the point is, it got people speaking. It was like, we know this is the thinking, the mentality of some. But to hear it, I mean, there were so many families and individuals and people that shared with me that it left them in tears. It was like traumatic, and it cut deep. And they knew it. Sadly, this is how it is. And it's, if you didn't believe racism exists in this country, then take your blindfold off, because that's ludicrous. We're one of the most racist countries in the world. We just hide it well. we just hide it well.
So it's good that whatever she felt, she had to say that. It was good that you, because it was one of your talks, that you did, that she was replying to, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it really triggered her, and she was a spokesperson for.
Yeah, it was like, when? Yeah, like, when did I ask you to ring me?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wasn't shocked. I was like, yeah. It was funny because the other thing I knew, if I was to record your voice on the algorithm, it would come back with the Queen of England or something, because that's what she sounded like.
Yeah.
And I was wondering too at the end of it, because she was like, oh, man, she could have a heart attack at the end, because like she was about to
hyperventilating.
She was exploding at the end.
But yeah, no, that was funny. But because I'm in the mental health and well-being, field, I picked up that she wasn't entirely well. She wasn't entirely well, so I didn't want to throw her under a bus. I was thankful for that situation. I was thankful for that situation, because like, thank you. You just proved my point.
Yeah.
Now get out of the way while I deal with this. And then I thought, I think I've just killed my career.
Oh, that's what you thought?
There was a moment, but I said, I don't care. If I get booted out, if I get demoted, I don't care, because I knew it was the right thing to do in my gut. It was the right thing to do. I heard, this is when we carry our people.
When you first thought it was wrong, you're going to lose your job, why did you think that? Is it because of
it blew up, and
bad press
it got to the exec, it got that far. But everyone supported me really well. The university supported me, like, right, RNZ. All the people involved came in real quick, and it was great. It was like, I'm satisfied. Had I not felt supported, I think maybe I would have. Like, people was like, take name and shame, and report it to the police. I was like, why would we punish this one voice and this woman when she's actually the voice of many? Don't punish her. Call it out. Call that behaviour out, because it represents other voices. And so, yeah, and I did that. And, you know, next thing you know, I'm in this role. And I thought, okay, maybe there's leadership in making big calls like that. To some, maybe to others, it's like, oh, but
You know the direction where New Zealand's going with diversity and all that. Do you think that racism will disappear within maybe 2-3 generations? Because with the education the kids are getting with culture and different cultures and that, like they'll grow up with it now. You know, there's a thing for trying to pronounce the street names, towns properly.
Yeah.
You know, and you know maybe next generation and then there'll be less racism.
Yeah.
Because people have more understanding of different people. And because this lady sounded old.
Yeah.
Like that's the generation we know. Because man, I remember when I was at high school we had a woodwork teacher.
Yeah.
Mr. Kid. Mr. Kid, his name.
Oh.
But man, he used to call us names like darkies.
Oh my God.
And stuff like that. But you know, I didn't understand. Because I was young. I didn't understand what.
But we were so used to it too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but I didn't know I didn't know if that was a bad word or not.
Yeah.
You know? It was like so I didn't understand until when I got older. Remember when he used to call us, you know? I thought that was bad, eh? Like back then we didn't care.
I think people are more aware of it, which then means you can hide it. You find new ways of hiding it. Racism can include exclusion, so you can exclude
without saying their name.
Without saying
just walk past you or something.
You can, it can be very overt or could be very subtle. Do I think it'll go? As long as there's a majority, it'll be very hard to see that go.
No, not lifetime. Not lifetime.
You said few generations, eh? Yeah. That's why we need to start changing the language now. And by language, I mean like, and the behaviors and attitudes of others. Like, excuse me, are you all right? Anyway, just call it out.
And that's what we're doing now, right? It seems like with not as far as cancel culture, but we're still saying what's right and wrong. Like I think. See, I just think when I thought about cancel culture, I thought, okay, that can go as far as hiding the people that are racist.
Yeah,
you know, and then we don't want that.
Yeah,
because we want to know who they are.
Yeah.
If they're underground, you know, what if they build up something we don't even know because we've taken them out of social media with, you know.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
So where's the balance there? Like, it's almost like how you put that message out to the internet, because it's like you didn't cancel this person. You just made sure that everybody knew that our thoughts are right. There are racist people like
hey
that.
guys, this guy,
yeah,
check it out. Yeah, that's right.
That kind of thing.
I don't want to do it.
No.
And I was like, I don't actually need this in my life right now, but because I was like trying to do things step by step, like this could happen. You know, I was weighing up the risks and the benefits. But when she came from my nanny, the more you got through it, the more I was like, what? And it wasn't because this lady, you know, you want to go, one ounce, you know, they'll be easy. It was what she was saying has been said for years, and we've believed it. Just believed it. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. The whole the whole hiding thing. Like even now, like with diversity, there's like sometimes I feel like they're just ticking boxes when it comes to that. Sometimes, you know,
some people do.
When they force it, when they force that, how do you really know I earned it and I'm not here because I'm under? Because specific on the books.
Tokenistic.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Like, I hear a lot of that happening, especially in the film industry.
Yeah.
There's that thing going on. I don't know if you've heard.
The film industry.
Yeah, like with the funding and that. Like, especially with government funding.
Yeah.
That's a big one, because are they doing it because they're trying to help us, or they're doing it because they want to look good in front of the whole world or in front of the industry, sort of thing? Like, because
everyone has when you're in those types of roles and leader, of course, you have a you have an agenda.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't give completely all of the information to everyone, because some of the information you may know may cause a state of panic, so you only give some information. But for those that are close to you, your mates, your rich mates, you give them a lot more information, so they're always ahead of the game. Someone's always ahead of the game. And if that's the game, I don't know if that's the game that's being played, if that's that's normal by those who are in a dominant position, then you won't see change. You won't. Yeah. It'll just be a different type of racism.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah. And that's the talk I've been hearing. That it's a different type of racism. That they're more tricky about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think this diversity thing is exploded over the world, around the world, and now is it virtual signaling when people try to look good for diversity's sake? Like, when I'm thinking about that, I think about Australia and the sports. You know how they're doing the Aborigine thing in the beginning of the rugby games?
Aboriginal thing.
Yeah. I'm thinking, come on. Australia's like the racist country. Like, they got a bad history. They don't care about the Aboriginal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we've heard heaps of stories about what they did.
Exactly.
And now you want to do the Aboriginal? Like, come on. Like, to me, looking at that, I don't believe it. It's like a boy that cried wolf kind of thing.
Yeah. We always be. It's natural to be cynical. Like you already don't. You already.
But the Australia example I've said is what I feel for a lot of things when it comes to.
That's your when it
comes to diversity and stuff.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's tokenism and who are you really? Is it meaningful? Is this tick the box? And yeah, completely.
But if we do understand it, do we take advantage of it? Because do we take advantage of that and then flip it?
Yes or no? Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna give me this, okay? Because I'm okay. Then go in and then change it. Then take the control back.
Yeah.
If they think they're in control, giving us this thing, and then we take it, how do we flip it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always someone in control. There's always someone in control. We don't exactly know them, but we're not on first name basis or anything like that. And when you come to accept that, I think you can start navigating it a lot smarter, and what you can't do, what you should steer away from, work to the strengths of the situation, and change the minds of that. I mean, someone's always in control, and that's the frustrating thing about it. Hey, it's just like you feel like you're in a when the mice are on those, what do you call them? Oh my goodness! You and I need to go back to school. We've been like checking each other. Like, hey, is that right?
The mice.
What's when mice run around in that?
The wheel.
Wheel. Yeah.
It's like the mice in the wheel.
Mice in the. It's just that. It's like
chasing your tail.
For what? Go to work, buy the house, feed the kids, go to school, cycle after cycle after cycle. My goodness, you look at the ingenuity of our people, but we're distracted with things that if we gunned it at our passion and things that we're good at and we know, like we could do it with our eyes closed. Imagine if you put your focus into that, you could potentially have what you want. You could set the pathway. You could set your kids up.
So how do we teach them then? How do we? What are some of the avenues we can give our people to teach them how to think that way? Like when you think about the ethnicities, like Indians, for example, and Asians, and then Islanders, like they're minorities, but different work ethics. You know,
How do you
like we know, a lot of Asians, a lot of Indians own businesses, and that they can be financially secure. Most of them, blah blah blah. You know, that's their thing, right? It's probably not our thing, really. You know, but how? You know, but you know.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I totally know what you're saying because we're looking at, and I'm not speaking for everyone. I don't want to get in trouble. This is my own personal thoughts and reflections. Okay, don't come at me. We're looking in different areas that we haven't explored, but you can only ever look in areas that you haven't explored that is untouchable to the outside world because it's unique to us. So we're going to be good at it. If we look at ways that have been our superpower, like I said before.
I think how do we own it?
Own it.
Because the Asians and Indians, they own what they're good at.
They
right?
own it. That's exactly
but
right.
we don't own what we're good at. Do you think?
Yeah, that's it.
Like for instance, we're good at rugby.
Claim it.
Do we own any rugby organizations?
Franchises.
No, it's NZR.
Are we coaches? Are we management? Are we physios? Exactly. We gotta own the space. And I do say that to some of my colleagues or students. I was like, own it. Like their own research. They're passionate about a research project. And then I went, own it. Are you passionate about it? If you were to ever do anything in the world, is that the topic you want to research? And they'll be like, yeah. And then we're like, own it. Own the space. Own it the way you understand it. It's your own work. So, yeah.
I think that's what we lack, eh? We lack ownership of what we're good at. Really. Because we like...
Well, not and I don't like to blame ourselves. There's that deficit thing, eh? It's because remember the history has taught us.
So we're taught to,
like, oh, no, don't sing that song.
Right.
Or, why are you dancing like that? You look like a savage. It's threatening to me. Like, how?
Have you seen like Kanye West on the news? Lately?
Not lately.
He's been getting in trouble, right? But he's getting in trouble for what he said. He was saying some stupid stuff,
right?
Some racist stuff. But see, he got fired from Adidas.
I saw,
But he's an example of someone that he's got no excuses. Why can't he own his own stuff? He's under contract for all these corporations.
True.
And he's working for.
That.
He's a slave to all these people. He's complaining, but he's Kanye West. Aren't you like haven't you got your own brand?
Yeah, he doesn't actually need them.
Yeah.
They need him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So why are you causing all this drama on the news?
Just drop them all and do your own. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Hey. Yeah, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Pacific or wherever you are in the world. I mean, look at how people smashing it. And the most randomest things.
Yeah, exactly.
And just, we're all smashing. You're smashing it. I like to think I am. But in our own way. Just trust the journey, trust the process. That's my mantra. Ride the wave, trust the journey, trust the process.
Man, you're making me excited. Like for our people, like our potential. Because you're right. We have potential. So how do we channel that?
Even better than that, eh?
Yeah.
Even better than that. Like not even potential. We've got it. You've got it. It's just, how do
we take it to the next level?
Yeah. You let go and you allow people to network and you allow people to know you and your dream because you bring people with you. Don't do it on your own. Don't do it on your own. And you're doing that, right? Probably met lots of people from all walks of life. I mean,
Yeah. No, it's been great. It's been great, eh? And I kind of fell into my passion, just learning from people, like listening to people, listening to their stories and that, because it is valuable. It's valuable. It is.
Yeah, and everyone wants to hear your story too.
One day.
Yeah, when you're ready. Yeah, that's it, eh?
I probably have to listen to like thousands of hours of this podcast to hear bits and pieces and put it together.
I mean, it'll be a legacy you leave for your kids. Like, they will hear their dad's story.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
And, like, they'll be adults or whatever. They'll see you at this place and think, how did you get there?
Well, the good thing about this, like, this is a digital footprint forever, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be here long before I go.
That's right.
It's gonna be here with my great
Great.
forever. So
we may not be in blimmin' in a New York studio or just somewhere talking like this, but your great grandchild might be
yeah.
on a throne.
We just started there. We start the generational wealth right now.
And if you think like that, it's amazing. You don't even realize that in your journey, your short journey there, that you're letting go without realizing it, because your eyes on that prize, and before you know it, you're a success and everyone else is. And who defines success? I've defined success as, I can open the fridge and if I'm hungry, it's there. That's success. I don't have to walk on a rainy day to work, to the bus stop. I got a car. That's success. I can put gas in not all the time. All the times I'm on E, that's success. I have a home. You have a home that like the noise in this home. You're loved. You love. That's success. Anything else to the world and what they construct as success can be fake at times. Can be fake. You're only here for a purpose, and that is to fulfill the legacy of your ancestors, and to instill in your descendants the superpower that was stripped from us. That's your purpose. Everything else will fall into place. I guarantee it.
That and Manly winning the NRL championships next year.
Manly forever.
But, we talked about them before we jumped on the podcast, but I just want to get your take on what happened to them with the jersey. You know, I was talking about that before.
Yeah, those players that
said no to wearing playing the game, man. And that sort of like ruined our season because they were never the same after that. Oh, we had Turbo injured, so that was a big factor too. So.
Yeah.
But didn't help those boys didn't play that game, and then I think we lost there, and then we lost all the games after that. So we got out of the finals. But I'm glad you're a Manly Seagulls fan too.
Yeah.
Stephen King and Manly Seagulls.
Yeah. And West Side.
And West Auckland, yeah.
My initial thought around that is like, please don't pick and choose when you want to be holier than the rest of the world, because, and I say this because I respect people that stand up for what they believe in. That's their, that was their prerogative. But
it has to make sense.
Make it make sense, because, like I said, you won't wear the jersey, but you'll be at the bar with like 10 bottles of beer, empty bottles of beers with the label on it. Oh, that makes sense. Or you'll be hooking up with people in your DMs. Make it make sense. Don't pick on the rainbow community. I mean, oh my goodness. Don't get me started on that. But then people are fearful of what they don't understand, or they will condemn it because it might be too close. Right?
Mm. And that's the whole issue on why racism exists, because people do not want to take the time to understand something they don't understand, right?
Yeah.
And they just see it as a inferior kind of thing.
based on assumptions and history. And being taught, it's just you're programmed to think you're far more superior than them. You know, they came here and they bludge. And it just, I'm done. I'm done with that talk and that mentality.
But the Jersey thing was interesting because, like I said, what I was telling you before, like when you saw social media and saw everybody talking about it, complaining or commenting about it, it was an equal, when in terms of race, it was an equal 50-50. You know, Pacific Islanders agree, Pacific Islanders don't agree. Hey, it wasn't about race, that argument.
You can't separate sports and politics.
Yeah.
You can't do it. As much as you try, it won't ever happen. And like, yeah, I mean, there's even racism and selections and lots of things. I mean, commentary. I remember one time I'd been asked to, by the Australian press, to comment on Erin Moran. I can't even remember her name, when she went that ooga luga when she was mocking.
Oh yeah,
names.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, they rang me to get a comment.
Really?
Oh nah.
How come?
I don't know. I must have
Just for a soundbite or something. Like
yeah, of course. And I said, no, you don't tolerate. That's unacceptable, and it's straight out racism. Oh, they took it out of context. No, we didn't. We heard you on the. Anyway.
The reason why I say why, because you don't need a educated person like you to tell them what the answer is, right?
Yeah,
it's like obvious.
It's like. You know, for like saying, hey, you know what? Pronounce it back to me and tell me if you sound stupid or you are awkward saying it to a brown person. Try it. I guarantee that, racism. So get out of here. Yeah.
Because, you know, you yourself, like, you've got all the attributes of being the minority when it comes to the whole minority thingy, because you're a woman first. Oh wait, woman.
Wait.
There has to be an order, the order of thing. So,
how you identify?
Yeah, like so. That's the minority. That's like,
or like underserved.
Yeah,
let's say
underserved.
Yeah.
So woman, woman, Pacific Islander, and gay.
Yeah.
So you got all three of them.
Yeah. It's a colourful life.
Yeah.
Like,
so
it's like, the rainbow to me looks like my life. Like, gee, you're just chaos, but a good chaos. Because how could you ever build that resilience and that thick skin? And that's what I mean. I'm like, I could have easily gone the other way and gone, oh, no one accepts me and my sexual identity. No one I'm sick of working amongst men as the only woman. I'm sick of being a brown person, trying to get somewhere in the world, just trying to live. You know, just say, I could have gone, just told myself that, boom, boom, you've got all these, you know, it's intersectionalities of all these identities, and you can't even handle it. Look at you. You know what? Get out of here. Instead, you harness those like your superpower. Don't give a shit what anyone else thinks about you, because you've got your family, you've got your army, you've got your supporters, you've got your people that know you. They got you. Shed yourself with the insecurities, and you always, in my mind, you roll your eyes going, oh, you know, another uncomfortable situation. But you do it. And you use it each as your superpower. And yes, of course you're going to experience crap along the way, but how are you going to clear that path for the next generation, as others had done for us? There are millions in the same position as me, if not worse. How did I get there? Family, you know, whatever spiritual space I was in at the time. Up to this point, I'm still in the spiritual space. Yeah, and your purpose, just having that purpose-driven life. You find that when you have that fire in your belly, you listen to your gut, and you know that you know, right? You know. If you do that, if you follow your passion and you focus on it, don't waver, you would, there is no way you would fail. Oh, I don't even like fail. There's no way you wouldn't get there, reach your dream. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but
Thinking of an example of like someone that's broken through and just realized, hey. But it's that moment that I think a lot of people need to learn. Like you gotta actually think that way to break through whatever barrier you've got in front of you. Think, especially not caring about other people think, because that's a really big one. I think
you brought up a really good point. Someone said to someone, but I was in the conversation, but they said it to this other person. They said, you have to go through a breakdown. There has to be a breakdown to get to a breakthrough.
Oh yeah.
And I looked at all the times where I had, just like, you have those days where you've broken down or you've just like given up. I'm done. And when you're connected and this one's when you listen and ground yourself, you hear, just be patient. Just wait, because it does this. If you're in the Christian world, it'll be something like, the devil builds you up to pull you down, God pulls you down to build you up. And other worlds, in other spirit worlds, it's like you need to be taught, because we've got massive things that are going to happen for you, but you need to let go of stuff. So that's, you think you're going through a breakdown, but it's preparing you for the breakthrough.
It's like a test.
Not a test. It's like you're trying to find yourself, because a lot of the world, we're lost in some form, shape or another. We're lost somewhere, right? There's a disconnect. When you start connecting those dots, it's an awakening. And you're right, that's the moment. And I'm not saying I'm invincible. Like I could go there, but my mentality has changed. And with that, you feed that and you share that with the people our people. Because penny will drop for them. And it's like,
right.
What?
Right, because it dropped for you and you experienced it.
It's just going to...
But that dropped for you.
Anyone, yeah.
That led you to your position where you are now, as head of Pacific Studies in Auckland Uni. Or was there more to it?
Yeah, it dropped just before. It's an awakening. It's an awakening, and it's in a place that I don't know what's going to happen. I used to be so, that's where I want to go. I'm going to get there. Be really methodical about how I was going to get there. Now it's like, man, that's my goal. I don't even know how I'm going to get there. You trust. Like I said, trust the journey. Ride the wave, trust the journey, trust the process. And, tomorrow I could be like jobless. I'm entirely naive. Anyone in circumstance, I could fall ill tomorrow. Circumstances can change. But in the time that you're in something for a moment, make the most of it. So whatever happens tomorrow, let tomorrow worry about itself, kind of thing. I trust the process.
Yeah. So, allowed to be transparent with your job. What does that entail? What's your main responsibility now?
I still have. I'm still associate professor in Pacific Studies, so I still have that academic allocation to my job. And then another part of that is being on the exec team of the university. So there's something like 13,000, I think, staff, or maybe a bit more, and something like 40,000, over 40,000 students. So there's 7 of us on the exec team, and our Vice-Chancellor leads it, and I'm one of those. Right. But my focus is Pacific, and I love that our Vice-Chancellor saw that. So Māori and Pacific are in the exec team. They make the they guide the strategic direction of the university and endorse or not support certain things. It's a massive job. So yes, and because it's massive, I have to tell myself every day, I just put faces in my head. I think of the little ones, the past, who've gone performing, like the ones that have crossed the veil. You draw on all that because these are spaces that we're supposedly not meant to be in. So it's uncomfortable every day, but I'm used to it. I think it's okay, and that they're great, really great people and leaders, and you realise that's why you got where you are. Just really good leaders because they have passion and purpose and all different journeys. So that's basically what my role is, and so I just do the best that I can right now.
I've got questions. I've had questions about identity, especially with Pacific Islanders that live here in New Zealand and Australia and USA, outside of the islands.
Right. Yeah.
And like I've always thought about the word Polynesian, especially in New Zealand context. Like what's happened to that word? Because we've now got a word Pacifica and Maori, which sort of separates from Polynesia. Like Polynesia is sort of like, it seems to me it's getting phased out. Now we're taking Maori out of Polynesia and make them their own.
Yeah.
And Pacifica includes Melanesians.
Yeah, so this will be a very, very rough kind of response. Like there's a French guy that went and kind of carved up the Pacific, or the Western world, European Western world, carved it up because it was just easier, because it would make sense to them. We've already they put these boundaries in. We don't even have, So they marked it out. We're Polynesians because it means many islands, like Samoa, example. Then you have Melanesian and anything, to do with your skin. So it means dark region or dark skin people. So that's like Fiji.
Melanoma, is it?
Yeah.
That one,
skin. Well, I wouldn't. The beginning of the word, not that.
Yeah.
They all have melanoma.
Oh.
That skin kind of region, Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Solomon Islands, and then Micronesia at the top, because they're small islands, and that's like Guam, Federated States of Micronesia. So it made sense to the outside world. So Polynesia, of course, New Zealand, Auckland is the largest Polynesian city in the world, but it's not necessarily the largest Pacific population in the world, because you have PNG that's got anyway.
Yeah.
That's really, really rough.
So it's
with Pacifica,
decolonization thing then, taking the French interpretation away.
Yeah. Well, we've got a long way to go. I mean, ideally you'd want it in the indigenous languages, and there are many, even in one area in the country. So, so then there's Pacific and Pacifica, and everyone has different ideas around it. It depends on you and how you construct it, and you should be able to say it the way you feel it, because you have Moana Oceania. I mean, that completely leaves out those that don't live near the ocean, in the highlands, for instance, in PNG, for instance.
Right.
Then you have Pacifica, which doesn't necessarily include those who use Pasifiki or other words.
Oh, yeah.
And then they say, well, we're using Pacific. It's like, oh my God, I know, it's horrible. It needs time. You need time for us to come up with something.
Right.
Us as a people to come up with something. And where are you in the world? Now, Pacific, again, that was a term imposed on the region, but it Okusi Mahina, he said that, it can exclude if you use Pasifika. He wasn't Samoan, right? So, okay. It's up to the person.
So is that the word, is Pasifika a word that we made up? New Zealand made up? Or did it come?
Yeah, it's transliteral. Each nation would have made up. You're asking the wrong person. I'm not even a historian. But that's where we need to go. That is exactly where we need to go with that conversation.
And the other question other thoughts I had was, where is it going? Are we going to end up to be a new culture? Is Pasifika going to end up to be something new that will be eventually be different to Samoa, Tonga, Fiji? It'll be an amalgamation of all those cultures because it's Pasifika, but what will that look like in the future? Will it be the same or will it not be?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? I mean,
that's an interesting thing to think about. That I always think about.
And you've said things like, I think about that. You think about a lot of amazing things, but you think about it. I think you're being told what to do. Because you're thinking these things. So it's like if you can probably see it without knowing that you're seeing it, and you're like, who would know? Well, you could get a head start and find out what will it look like. So then whatever your passion is, start aiming for that, because that's a vision. You've been quickened with what could Pasifika look like in the future, because you said, I've thought about that. I was like, keep thinking about it. Because like you said, technologically, where do you think we could be going? Always be a few steps ahead to be able to, like, when it happens, boom, you're on it. I wish I could listen to my own advice, because I'll probably would be millionaires. Oh, I maybe you needed to hear we needed this chat. Regardless.
No, because it's all about ideas at the end there. Like you want ideas to come out so you can think, oh, I never thought of that, and that's what I'm hungry for. Like I have all these questions about society and Pasifika and what that's gonna look like, and sports, and all sorts of things. Like I want to know the answer to, but I can only think. But just gonna find out.
You talanoa. That's how you find. This is what your platform's all about, because you want to know.
Exactly.
But then you're like, well, that'll save me time. I might as well do a podcast and everyone can know at the same time, and I don't have to tell the story to everyone, because they can just go look for it themselves. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's the new technology, I think, that's allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. This is good.
I really appreciate the invitation. I knew we were meant to talk, because we were like,
back and forth,
postponing ours. But I always thought, because sometimes I'd be like, oh, nah, I'm too hoha. This person's just mucking me around. But you were very respectful, and I don't know. I just had this feeling I had to be here. Okay. And I mean, you've inspired me. You truly have. And I'm all about people that are just, you haven't sat around and talked about it. You're doing it? That's a doer, not a talker. That's why you're shy and not, but you're a doer.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Cam.
No worries. Yeah,
Cams. Oh, my lord.
Thanks. Thank you.
Man.